So if they keep it that full, then they don't have to really check the sight glass on their radiator. Okay. Things that they do have to do is tilt the cab and check the belt wear and the hoses. If you lose a blue hose on this truck that's underneath that cab, it's going to go blah at about 35 miles an hour because it needs that back pressure to keep running. And if you blow a serpentine belt on this truck, there's only one up there. Go to Napa and get another one. Like I said, it's about $12.88. You got it instantly. If you call us, it's like $88 in 4 days to get it. So it's the same belt, same exact belt. We'll tilt this cab a little bit and show you what's under there.
What kind of AC refrigerant just run? Just whatever we have in the shop?
It's that environmentally safe compliant crap now. You know, yeah, same stuff you probably got. Yeah. It's not like the Freon that it used to be. I think that's illegal. Yeah, whatever you use. Whatever you use now. Yeah.
Just put out a machine for you.
It's probably written right on the air conditioner, right on the refill port. There should be a tag right there saying what to use. When we tell the cab to charge.
So you said the generator was powered by the PTO, right?
It is.
So what happens if your engine puts out?
If you have no generator.
So you just run it on batteries, strictly on batteries?
Strictly on batteries.
So you only have certain time to do whatever you got to do?
Probably about a half an hour before you get too low before we do anything else. It doesn't take long for this thing to drop below 11 volts. Below 11 volts, this truck won't start. It needs a lot of cold cranking amps to turn these engines over. So it needs a lot of amperage to kick that truck in.
So if it's in service and it's doing something, anything goes down, you only got to call somebody else because you're about to go dead?
Yeah, pretty much. You can't keep it running. It isn't going to last very long, right? That plug right there, I tell them, that shoreline plug that's plugged in, I tell them not to pull it out, for one thing. Because before it kicks that plug out, it shuts power down to that plug so that they don't backfeed and get ghosts in their machine. The other thing is they keep pulling it out, they're going to make the firing pin in there weak and it's not going to kick the plug out anymore. So let it do its job, let it kick that plug out. Okay, there is another plug in one of those boxes so you can make a tattletale up, the little pigtail. Plug it into that, plug it into there, so if it does not work, it separates at the pigtail, doesn't pull the wiring out of the station. Which would be bad. Let's see. With the load manager switch on, which it should always be on, never turned off, it will sense when the battery's getting low, it'll bump up the high idle on its own. So if you walk away from this truck and all of a sudden the high idle kicks in, that's when it's charging the batteries again. Okay. It's way up there on the top. It's got some lights next to it. It tells you the stages it's going through. First thing it's going to shed when the load manager is on is the air conditioning. Then the heater's going to go next. And then it's going to start turning off things if it needs to and it doesn't have enough power. Last thing that's going to go is anything NFPA rated. So the emergency lights are probably the last thing that's going to go off. If you blow that serpentine belt while you're running, what's going to happen is that load manager is going to start flashing shit because it doesn't know where to pull its port. So you're going to get one light flash here, one headlight there, one light here. It's trying to rob power from wherever it can. So it's checking the whole system. Just leave that load manager switch on all the time. The only reason it's there is to troubleshoot. Turn it off, turn it back on, see where you have loss of power or where you don't. In case you don't know why it's doing that, you can turn off the system and check certain areas.
Negative.
Fluid in your front wheel axles, just try to make sure that it stays about halfway full. This lubricating axle hubs on it. If it gets empty, that's not good. Get dry. But they don't have to be full, just half full. All it is self-lubricating fluid in there. Keeps those wheel bearings moist. This drive shaft underneath this truck will always be turning. The PTO is always engaged in this truck because they use that PTO to drive the power steering unit for the tiller cab. Okay, so it's always going to be spinning under there. If you're under there, just note that shaft, when this truck is running, will be turning. Okay. Why why there's no guard over it. We don't do it on other trucks. If that's something California recommends, we would probably know about it because we know about everything else we do. So it's just, maybe it's just indicative to our truck versus whatever other truck you have. Ours is open shaft, so just know it's there. Finger pinching chocks, they're going to use them. You only got one set because you have them automatic wheel locks in here. Anytime the aerial master switch is on, those wheels are locked. The old trucks had a black knob on it. You needed 86 to 89 pounds of air pressure to stay locked. If you released your regular brake, the mechanical brake would pop back off. Okay? If you ever seen those, it's a little different. This one's got an electric lock on it. So anytime the aerial master switch on, that automatically locks the front wheels. So now if they're going to an accident scene and they're going to be the blocker in the accident, go ahead and turn your aerial master switch on. Now you've got brakes, brakes, and brakes, where you'd only have brakes and brakes otherwise. And if you're setting up your truck with this truck and you lift these wheels off the ground and you didn't have that on, you'd only have brakes. Okay, so that's why they make a front wheel lock. So you have two ends at least brakes in case you pick these wheels off the ground. That's takes the place of chocks, but you still need to use one set of chocks.
So the only time they come on is when the aerial.
When the aerial master's on, the only time they'll come on, and they cannot come on when you're driving the truck, because whenever you release the brake, that turns off the front wheel lock. Okay, it'll disengage the aerial master. It'll disengage the front wheel lock. It'll take away the high idle. Those are all things that are braking a lock. It will turn on the high beam flash. It will turn on the opticon because they're white lights. So anything that's white light driven that flashes, the brake has to be off in order for that to come on. Because it's a law that turn off the white lights of your car. People have a tendency to drive towards the white light. You know, going to heaven. Cab lift is right underneath the step. There's that white tank right there. There is that bar behind that front seat, so you can jack it. If you're going to use the electric cab lift, it's on the other side of the truck in that compartment. Turn it to raise. You cannot have your ignition switch on, just the battery switch on this truck. Okay? You're going to hold the activate, the cab will go up. There is a stay arm on this side. You can see it right there with the little lever over the top of it. All we ask is you put it up. Don't put it back down on the stay arm. Because if you do, it reverses the flow of that lift cylinder and it blows the seals out. They used to tell you all the time, come back down on the arm. Not anymore. They don't want you to do that because it does blow that cylinder out. They can't handle the pressure the other way. If it's cold outside, like 12 below zero, don't lift your cab. I have a hard time getting it back down.
We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, right. Well, you never know. Things are changing. You know, right? You might be the North Pole before long, or the South Pole. So that's one thing we found, that if we put it up in the wintertime, we have a hard time getting it down. Same thing with the DEF. If it gets below 12 degrees, there is a heater in that tank. If it gets below 12 degrees, that DEF freezes. If it freezes, the truck won't start. Of course, your diesel fuel will gel too. It'll be a hard time starting the truck. Basically, cab-wise, it's no different than probably the rest of your cabs. The top row of knobs up there is your defroster. The second one is your floor heater. And the third row down is your air conditioner. Holders. Loose equipment policy says they can't have any loose equipment in the truck anymore. The vehicle data recorder knows who's got their seatbelt on, who doesn't. If you buckle it, sit over the top, it knows that. If you buckle it and you get out of your seat, it knows that too. It knows when the truck started, when it stops on scene, if it stops for stop signs, what the speeds around corners are. It knows your acceleration and your braking distance. It knows brake wear. So if you get that disc, it monitors how this thing is being driven. It knows when it did its regens and when it didn't. So it keeps a log. It's all in that vehicle data recorder. So there are some stuff for you in there. There's stuff for them as far as monitoring how the truck's being driven. But there's mainly for us, so that we can prove the truck was running the way it should at the time of an accident. Okay. And it can get you out of trouble, it can get you into trouble. Like I tell them, don't be surprised in the future if there isn't a camera pointed back at you in the cab with a vehicle recorder. That's where it's going. And if they get cheaper insurance rates for that, so you probably will see it in the next couple of years mandatory. I don't like it, but I got no say.
We don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it. Okay. Underneath this seat here, they're going to be mounting their narcotic box up in there. So you might see a little different configuration pretty soon. Law requires it has to have a double lock system. So they have a lock on the outside door, and then the knock box has a lock on it too. So that's what you're going to see is a little bit of modification. They're probably going to have to take that passenger seat out of there in order to do that. Okay. It'll be a little different.
With the generator backfeeding to help charge batteries, is that coming through that small system with the auto charger, or is that wired differently?
That goes differently back through the where the alternator would have been. It's coupled into where the alternator could have been, and when the alternator takes a shit, it just takes over.
Okay.
So it just gives you the voltage the alternator would have. To keep the batteries charged and the transmission in drive, should you need it. That way they can get it back here. That's what you get that. In here is your breaker box. Breaker box for your generator is right here. I tell them to keep this number 6 switch off until they need it, because the reason that 6 switch is on, or would be on, is for those 2 floodlights at the tip of their ladder. Now, if you're going down the road and you have the ability to engage your generator back there, and you left the switch on up there for the floodlights, guess what? You're blinded. So if they turn the breaker off in here, that can't happen. They're going to use those floodlights. They're going to be down here anyway. They can flip that breaker on then. Hey, move that fast.
Last night.
Jesus. Yeah, we used to not be there. This paddle tail gauge right here, the one's up here. That's a good job.
Thanks.
You do it yourself?
Yep.
Nice. Want a job?
Got one.
Want another one? Okay, so that paddle tail gauge tells you what the generator's doing. So if you want to know how many hours are in your generator PTO or what the function is, it should run at around 60 hertz. So 57 to 62 is its operating range. So if you're looking at that, you know that it's the pressures are set right for the pump. Okay. Then you've got your draw on line 1 and line 2. How many amps is it pulling off of the breakers that are in there? Then you've got a total voltage output, which should be somewhere around 240 volts. If you hit that little red button right there that says mode, one time it will tell you how many hours are on your generator PTO. So that's where you get your generator PTO hours. If you hit it again, it will tell you the operating temperature of your generator. Try to keep it, I tell them, try to keep it below 180, because if it gets above 180, the hoses start to break down. You'll smell them. Okay? If it's flashing at you like that, means you're trying to pull too much electricity out of the cord reels or wherever you got something plugged in. So then they can bump up their high idle. The alternator will go to its peak output to assist the generator in what it's got to do. Okay? It should turn solid again as long as they're not really trying to pull out too much. If you leave it alone, it goes right back to the main line. So that's the way that works. Finger pinching chucks. Like I said, chuck the way the truck is going to roll. Leave the other chuck off. The other side of the tire a couple inches. They put them tight under there. Once they throw that 17,000 pounds around, it'll suck them chocks under there and you'll have a hard time getting off the chocks. It's more than a 5-degree hill. Chalk both sides of the truck, the same side of the tire it's going to roll to, so you have extra holding. You can crush those chocks. They do collapse. In case you don't know, they do. Around the corner here, there is a slot that's got an oil gauge in it. The oil gauge is for the stabilizers and for the ladder. That's how much oil is in there to run those things. I always tell them to check it with the ladder down, everything packed up for at least 10 minutes on a level surface so that you know what your level is. And not to fill it when your ladder's up in the air and your stabilizers are out, because if they fill it that way, it's going to overflow. Okay. On top of there, if you were to crawl up and look right here, there's a big cutout. The cutout's got a little gauge on it that says good or bad. That's your filter for your stabilizers and your ladder system. So you can just